According to a recent study, only 60% of Gen X feels on track for retirement. Will they work forever? Let's chop. Hi, welcome back to the Life Money Balance Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Preston Cherry, where we let your life lead your money, not your money lead your life, where your life and money are working concurrently to help you achieve your life's design. All right, let's chop. Gen Xers, I feel you out there. I am one of you, and we're going to talk about living now and preparing for retirement. A lot of folks are simply not that confident in their retirement preparedness or their retirement future. And a lot of studies show this, a lot of reports. The median Gen X retirement account is about $250,000. And median is that number in the middle. So there's half of folks on the other side and half of folks on the other. What does that mean? We're always talking about where we are with our finances and whether we feel good or not. And Gen X is that sandwich generation. You've been hearing a lot. I'm sure you feel it a little bit, where you have adult children and you have elderly parents that you may be caring for or about to care for. And you have two other aspects that deal with you directly, which is your current lifestyle. How are you living right now? It's the most optimal time in your lives that you're thriving. You have good incomes, hopefully a little bit of assets, maybe a lot of bit of assets. And you have what I call life stage vitality, your peak health, mental faculties. You have spiritual balance. You know oneself fairly well. You're not really caring about folks, what they think. I mean, so you have this comprehensive approach to life right now, and all else equal, you're feeling pretty good in all of those categories. All right. And last episode, we were talking about why life stage matters and lifestyle or life stage vitality. And this is it. And we were even talking about freedom of spending. But I paused in that episode and said, well, if folks are worrying about their retirement, what are we talking about spending for? We'll get that to the minute. But this show is about retirement. And there's some fascinating statistics out there. You know, I like showing them to you. We talked about the 60% aspect of it. Well, what about another statistic that says only 46% of Gen X are actively planning for retirement? And also, there's only about 2/3 of Gen X using a financial advisor. Well, this worry, all right, well, why aren't we seeking professional help for advisors? And how come by studies show folks are not actively planning for retirement? Wow. Well, that could be a few reasons. Yeah, obviously, life has come at folks all types of different ways, particularly Gen X. And Gen X, during our lifetimes, a lot has happened. So when we're talking about the financial markets, right? The financial markets we've had to deal with, and other generations have had to deal with some aspects as well. But during our early stages and mid stages of saving and investing, probably our 20, coming right out of college, in our 20s and early 30s, there were 2 or 3 economic crises during that period. So 2 decades back to back, you had the dot-com bubble. Wow. Right. Y'all remember, when the 2000s rolled around, we thought all the computers were going to fail, that type of thing, right? There wasn't enough computer memory or computer aptitude in order to recognize 1999 rolling over to 2000. Oh, that was something, right? And the Prince song actually was very cogent at the time. We have 19 party like it's 1999, right? So a little musical history there. So economic bubbles. I remember coming out of college in 2003, and there was a recession during the time. So not earning peak incomes during your early period of coming out of school. So that delayed some of the earning and saving aspects. Because remember, compound time is one of the most compoundable assets. If you start early, then you have compounding returns. And Gen X really started off slow out the gate, as far as coming out of college with low unemployment, and then those two economic crises, the dot-com crises, and also the financial crisis right before the peak earning years. So that eroded some income earning opportunities as far as employment is concerned, and also saving and investing. And then you have business owners out there. There's a lot of, when you talk about those economic crises, that take a hit. Slow down, COVID, slow down in revenues and in having to shift monies here and there. So again, Gen X has dealt with a lot economically, as far as economic events are concerned. Also, too, when 401k is called the generation of the 401k. The 401k came out around anywhere between 79, 80, some of this to this effect. And ironically, the 401k really wasn't supposed to be the all be all for retirement. Just like Social Security is not supposed to fund 100% of your retirement. It's supposed to be a complement. 401ks, because of the volatility of the market, even the creator of the 401k, the gentleman said that because of market volatility, that may not be the most optimal retirement tool. That said, that there was a shift from pensions. Remember your grandparents, they were, you work for 30, 40 years and you get to go watching a pen or something like that. And well, what happened is with pensions for a long period of time, which is a guaranteed payment, you're paying money in, and at the end, the company promises you a guaranteed payment, like a paycheck hitting your account or your mailbox every couple of weeks, right? Well, those guaranteed pensions from companies have been going by the wayside for the last 45 years. And it really started with our generation. What was happening is that pensions have to be they have to be funded by companies every year. There's a mandate by the Internal Revenue Code. And in order to fund those future promises of payment, then every year the company has to place money into the bucket, so to have enough money in the bucket to make those promises later on. You have to invest over time, and then that money gets paid out to those to the recipients. But because of that mandatory bucket or that mandatory funding, companies didn't want to do that no more, right? They said I could use that money for marketing or obviously, those bonuses to the executives and all that type of stuff. And what the hell is that marketing dollars being spent on, by the way? I mean, the dumbest ideas come out of marketing departments sometimes. And I'm like, bam, y'all spending all that damn money on that, right? So what happened was the shift went to 401ks, which is leading us to the experimental generation. We're going to experiment and see if people can take the reins on their own retirement funding and finances, and see if they can make investment choices and contribute to their accounts, and see where the chips may fall as far as in the financial markets are concerned. And there's a lot of good aspects of employer sponsored plans. And business owners, when you have solo 401ks, SEP IRAs, you get to fund all that. There's a lot of good aspects about for 401ks. We'll just stick on 401ks with their employer sponsored plans where the employee is paying or is contributing to the account, and then your employer is contributing to the account. When you're a business owner, you contribute on both sides. So that's why these retirement plans are so useful and impactful. That said, when the pendulum shifted over to retirement or 401ks, the investment responsibility laid with the individual. Okay, the behavioral aspects is with the individual. Okay, the risk aspects is with the individual. So it is incumbent that or essential, I should say, that the individual has habits, behaviors, and the willingness to stick to a 401k, contribute to it consistently. So these returns can compound over time, and more than likely tax deferred over time too. That's why the plans are set up. And then you get this compounded growth without having paying taxes on it in the middle, while it's in the account. And then you have this bucket of money at the end. All right. But there's so many, so many interruptions that could come to play. Either our internal forces, which is behavior, habits, the amount of money that we have available to us. And then there's external with the economy and economics and the like. Right. So sometimes there's risk. However, there are a lot of 401k millionaires. There's a Fidelity study that comes out every year, and 401k millionaires have been increasing over time because of, a commitment to these ideals and principles, right? So when you're talking about the experiment generation, 401ks have worked for the most part. It's a great mechanism. You get a tax deduction up front, or not tax deduction, or reduction in your taxable income, because when you make contribution, it reduces your taxable income. So an immediate annual federal tax relief, decreasing your income exposed to tax. Then you get tax deferred growth, meaning you're not paying taxes there in the middle while it's in the account over this period of time. And then you're taxed on distribution. Okay. That said, features like automatic enrollment has helped folks with higher participation rates. Employee matching has helped encourage folks to contribute to these accounts. All right. So these mechanisms in the 401ks help folks contribute to their own futures. All right. You also have brokerage accounts, which are outside the employer. And please, when you hear 401ks are a scam, I mean, that's not true. And 401ks lock up your money. That's not true either. The retirement accounts are for what they're for, right? They're for retirement. So yes, on qualified monies and IRAs, yes, there's a 59 and a half age requirement to avoid penalty. That said, the money is for the future. So that's what some people mean by locked up. You can't get it out. And there's ways to get it out too. I mean, you can loan against it when you want to. You can receive money for first-time home buyers and some other qualified expenses. So there's ways to access money, and with passes of certain recent policy, you can use some of your 401k money as an emergency fund. I mean, you don't want to tap the money, but if you have to, then okay. I mean, no shame or judgment. And number two, you can also use funds inside of there to perhaps start a business or invest in alternative investment like real estate and all that. But that's more complex planning. But my point about that is that it's your money not locked up, right? It's for retirement. Now, you can have a brokerage account that complements your tax deferred accounts, so you can have more freedom and flexibility. That's one way to have liquid funds available to you. Of liquid meaning at the readiness funds when you want to have the freedom to take out money for life stage events. Okay. But you're still investing for the long term in brokerage accounts as well, because you have to keep money's where you have to stay invested into the stock positions or the ETF or index fund positions that you're in longer than 12 months in order to get the capital gain advantage. Okay. If you're connected with your retirement, there's many ways that you can be successful with retirement. You also, in your 401ks, you have catch-up contributions, 401ks and IRAs. So you can have salary deferrals in 401ks up to a certain amount. This year is 24,000. That's 2024. And then you have an additional in IRAs and 401ks. You can max out at 7,500 additional dollars. And then you can put after-tax money in those vehicles, particularly 401ks as well. All right. IRAs have contribution limits. 401ks have contribution limits as well. All right. But the 401k total on the employer and employee side is 69,000. All right. Plus an additional 7,500 for catch up. Okay. IRAs have lower contribution limits. That said, you could contribute to all day long. Brokerages don't have any contribution limits. You can place money in there all day long. Right. So there's ways in order to shore up retirement funding. Now, not everybody is all in the same boat when you talk about Gen Xers. What are the Gen Xers categories or archetypes, so to speak? Right. You have the Henrys, which is high earners, not rich yet. Those folks have high income, right, during these periods of life, but not enough assets that they feel confident about. So they tend to have less, anywhere between 50 and 50,000 and $250,000, something to this effect, in their asset accounts. Okay. But they have high income, high earners, not rich yet. They call them Henrys. Then you have the mass affluent folks, which are folks that have $100,000 to $1 million in investable assets available to them, along with high incomes. Okay. Then you have high income households that have, they're called dinks. All right. Dual income, no kids. All right. So those folks have certain characteristics with them, and they're in a particular financial position. Then you have those high net worth individuals, and these folks have at least $5 million and above of investable assets. And you have ultra high net worth, which you get into the 10s and 20s, 30s a million. All right. So you have these categories: Henrys, mass affluent, dinks, and high net worth. And with Henrys, this is the catch-up group, the most emergency, I guess, group far as catch-up is concerned. All right. They have high incomes, but don't have enough future assets to feel confident. These folks really need to start planning and taking advantage of catch-ups in their retirement accounts, and really just, hey, we need to have some focus there. Right. Then you have the mass affluent folks, and they're feeling decent about their retirement prospects, with 500,000 to $100,000 to $1 million in investable assets. I mean, I'm 45. So if you're 45 and you keep that pace, then, you may feel a little bit more confident of where you are. That said, amongst all of these groups, there's a lot of financial planning aspects you have to consider in order to really feel confident about where your lifestyle now and retirement later. Those households where I talk about Henrys and mass affluence and even high net worth, if you have children, then either teenage or college children, then that's still a line item expense. And then if you have adult children, we talked about that on one of the episodes, our Gen X ruining their finances to support their adult children. And it's a line item, y'all. It's a line item. So you may not have kids in college or young folks in college, but you do have young folks that you're supporting all the way up until maybe 30, perhaps. All right. But the dual income, no kids, the dinks, they may have a little bit more financial flexibility because they haven't had children to fund the entire time or currently. So they may be in a different position as well. All right. Now, then you have the high net worth folks. And yes, they have more assets, investable assets. They have a lifestyle that they're used to. It could be frugal, could be, and frugal is just living within your means, not below. That's we've talked about that before. But it could be a lifestyle that they're used to, and they have to fund that. And we have to keep funding that in retirement. So yes, they have the assets. Is that enough for them? Don't know. Okay. Finances are personal, but across the board though, when you have the median retirement account balance at $250,000 for Gen X, half on one side, half on the other, half 250 is more than likely not enough. All right. For a large segment of lifestyles. And then you have 50% above 250,000. Well, there's a lot of wiggle room there. It could be 15 million. It could be 1 million, could be 500,000. Okay. Could be a lot of angst, right? Are Gen X going to work forever? All right. I tell you what, if I wanted to work forever, I'd go ahead and, I'd work at Costco. I love Costco. Don't y'all love Costco? Costco is fantastic. I never make it out of there with one purchase. I did that one time over the last 12 months. I went in, got something, and came out. Right. But the atmosphere in Costco is great, isn't it? So if I had to do a job while I'm in retirement, I think Costco would be it. A few more reasons that Gen X may feel challenged over life's course. We were not only hit with the economic cycles, we also had student loans to fuel our education, fund our education. So there's a lot of Gen Xers that still have student loan balances. All right. How do you address that? All right. We were promised, Gen Xers were promised, if you invest in education, then you'll have a long-term, high-paying corporate job. All right. I remember MBAs were all the rave at the time. And still fact, though, if the higher amounts of education you have, the more lifetime income you earn over time, whether it be in small business owner or a professional. So that's still a fact. All right. So education is not useless. It's the way you go about obtaining your education, paying for it and the like, and then what you select as far as having a career is concerned. So there's a lot of nuance in there, but a lot of Gen Xers right now are fueling the conversation of saying education is useless. That said, particularly college education, because they feel robbed, so to speak. That said, there was a low financial education across the board with Gen X, which contributed to taking out a lot of student loans or that covered, that fueled, that financed the education. Money wasn't really talked about in the home quite yet with Gen X. It was talked about in my home. All right. But we were coming out of that generation where there wasn't much discussed in the home at all, the previous generation, to Gen X starting to talk about taboo subjects a little bit. All right. Then the young folks, the younger millennials and the Zers and all that, they're used to talking a lot more, where there wasn't a lot of financial education. All right. Coming our way during those times. Okay. So that contributed to the student loan crisis. Gen X holds the most student loan debt number, and we have to pay that down. Okay. So that's another reason. We also started, because of those conversations didn't start until later on in life. We also didn't save and invest with our 20s. All right. Now in the 20s, I remember myself, we were getting jiggy with it. Right. It was the nice look, the club scene era, right? We were getting boogie on down, right? There was a lot happening in our 20s that we didn't save and invest because of those conversations weren't happening as frequently. All right. Now, I know a lot of people are here maybe talking about, oh, these are excuses. No, excuses and explanations are two different things. Okay. And we have to understand why we're Gen X is here and why things can also get better. All right. Because one of the things I'll share with you is because of all these aspects, student loans, financial education, financial socialization, which is talks in the home, late starts to saving and investing, economic crises, and the like. This is why we're somewhat here. And then you have behaviors and choices. Okay, it's cool. That said, with all that, it's also very important that you have financial compassion with yourself. Have financial compassion with yourself. Forgive yourself for why you're here. All right. Why you don't feel confident, whether you have, 50, 100, 500,000, a million, 5 million, 10 million, wherever you are. Confidence is within the person, and outlook and preparedness is within the household as well. All right. People are at different areas. All right. But if you're feeling unsure, not confident, then forgive yourself for where you are. And also, that's number one. so you can start taking mindful action on where you want to go and achieve your aspirations. And then also get good with enough. Get good with enough because uh, you still have time to live your aspirational life, live fully now, and secure in retirement. It's and not or. You do have that capability. All right. That said, where your enough is going to end up, be cool with it. You don't look back saying, "Oh, if we wish to have those years back, I wish that didn't happen to me." Those economic times and conversations and all that. That's why it's important to forgive yourself and do what I call the honest self audit. All right, which is admit where you are, acknowledge how you feel feel about it, so you can take action. And then you can align your life and money. Life and money alignment gives you money assignments. You can have your aspirations in life, and then you can go about achieving them. All right. If you do those stages, then you can have an and, not or. And I'll close with being mindful of life stage vitality. Life stage vitality. With Gen X, you're talking about 44 to 58, 59, 60. Okay. This is an area you are either right in the thick of thriving. Then you have your millennials, I guess, which is, older millennials, 40 to 45, 44. All right. Remember that you're in this stage of life where you have all of the wholeness. When I said financial, spiritual, health, mental faculties, all of that combined, you're thriving right now. You don't want to have money regret. We talked about that last episode. Go check that out. You don't want to have money regret where you wake up later on in life and say, "I wish I'd have done that because I had the opportunity, I had the money to." All right. So take advantage of these vital years, even though that you have a high concern about retirement. All right. Because hopefully you're a high earner right now in all of these categories: Henry, mass affluent, Dinks, high net worth. Then you can still shift and get things done. A few more things to do, or while you're talking about having more confidence in where you want to go, have those brokerage accounts, max fund those retirements, pay down, have a paid for home. Okay. That's going to help you a lot during retirement. Get good with having enough. All right. Do those things and you may not have to work forever. Right. All right. Totally understand why Gen X feels crunched with all that we have been through. Financial preparedness actually now and later is higher when you're working with a financial professional as well. Okay. So that is the episode. You have to ask yourself, you're Gen X, do you feel confident about your finances? Will you work forever? Well, you got to take a look at all these finances and where your lifestyle aspiration is and shore that up a little bit. All right. That's what I got for you. If you like what you've seen, heard, and feel, subscribe to the show, share it with others, and leave some comments. All right. In the next episode, we'll chop. Cheers.